It's day 7 on our spiritual journey towards living a more generous life. I was coming out of the store and somebody put their foot there by the door, and as I tried to open the door would not open, and a man behind me shoved his hand into my pocket. I knew instantly what was going on. This man was trying to pickpocket me, and he had an accomplice. I turned around and I swung towards him with my elbow to try to get his hand out of my pocket, and all the money in my pocket went falling on the floor. I shouted, and the people in the store came around me, and they started picking up the money and handing it to me, and the would-be thief got out the door. Now, I don't know if he got out with any money. But can you imagine your hand in God's pocket trying to pickpocket him? But yet that's what Malachi chapter 3 records happens. It says, will a man rob God? In other words, will a man put his hand in God's pocket and try and rob him? And then it goes on, and you know what it says. But you have robbed me in withholding your tithes and your offerings. When we don't return our tithes and offerings, we are robbing God. And so our learning principle for day 7 is we need to have a very good plan to faithfully return our tithes and offerings. Now, a tithe simply means 10%. Do you have a plan to return 10% to God's work? Think about it. Plan for it. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22 and 23 tells us, be sure to set aside 1/10 of all that your fields produce. The purpose of tithing is to teach you always to put God first in your life. Exodus chapter 22 tells us, you must be prompt in giving me the tithe. Are we prompt in giving God the tithe? Or do we make that the last thing that we do with our finances? You see, we have to realize that returning 10% to God is not the ceiling of our giving. It's the floor. It's the bottom. It's the minimum. Returning tithe is not the finish line of giving. Returning tithe is the starting blocks for giving. Are we faithful with our tithes and offerings? If you go to the blog site, you can read about 7 great surprises that come to faithful givers. Those individuals who faithfully return 10% of their income. I encourage you to read what those blessings are, what those surprises are. We're on a journey, a spiritual journey, towards a more generous life. Don't put your hand in God's pockets today.